There's a question that every feeling human being asks, a theological question. Why do people suffer? We experience suffering around us. Sadly, sometimes we ourselves suffer. And we have this question, why does God put suffering on this earth? Why does he make people suffer? And it's an obvious and a very valid question. And how can someone not ask this question when we are faced with suffering? In fact, the first person to ask God this question, as it's documented in the Torah, is Moses. Right after he gains forgiveness on behalf of the Jewish people, after the sin of the golden calf, he sees that it's an opportune time to make requests from God. And so he says, God, please explain to me why it is that bad things happen to good people. Why is it that people suffer? And you know what God's response to him was? Vira'isa es achirai, you can see my back, ufanai lo yiro, you cannot see my face. You cannot see the inner meaning of certain things. And so God said, Moshe, you cannot be human and understand why people suffer. If I were to explain to you why people suffer, you would lose your humanity. What was God telling Moshe? God was telling Moshe a very profound point. He was telling him that the moment a human being can rationalize, can explain why it is that someone is suffering, they are being stripped of the very core definition that makes us human. We suddenly lose our compassion. We can suddenly explain things, and when we get lost in our intellectual minds, we lose our compassion. Because you know why it happened, because of this, that, and the other thing. And now we have an explanation, we can box it, we can package it, we can understand it, and we lose feeling for it. And God said, if I were to do that to you, Moshe, you would lose your compassion, you would lose your humanity. God forbid for a human being not to be compassionate. And so there's a silver lining here that we sometimes miss. And the silver lining is that there is a reason why we can't understand suffering. There's a reason why God doesn't want us to understand suffering. We all know what it's like to be in a relationship with someone. And what does that person do? They always explain why it is that we made the mistake that we made. Why it is that things went wrong. Oh, you know why? Because you did this. Oh, you know why? Because of that. Always an explanation. And we resent such people. We resent them because they don't feel for the fault or for the mistake or for the trouble that one is going through. Because they're always explaining it. Those people come across as being cruel. Because instead of expressing compassion and feeling for what someone else is going through, they're trying to understand it. And so sometimes we need to go a little deeper. And we need to say, I don't understand it, but there's a greater, a deeper value over here. It's the value of compassion. I may not understand it, but I feel for it. And that's what makes me the human being that I am.